Hello everybody and welcome to another Twilight Zone retro review. Today it is Season 1, Episode 3, Mr. Denton on Doomsday, which was written by Rod Serling. It stars Dan Duryea and Martin Landau in a supporting role as a very not nice person. And this episode is a little different than the first couple once again. It takes place in the Old West, which may seem a little bit odd for Twilight Zone, but it makes sense if you really understand the history of the time. Westerns were really big at this time on television, and so Twilight Zone was still a fairly new show, and what better way to get an audience than to advertise your episode as a Western. But as you'll see, this, although it takes elements from a Western, also has some very Twilight Zone-like elements to it. So we start with the character of Al Denton, who is definitely a drunk. This guy is really drunk. I mean, he'll do anything for a drink. He'll sing, he'll make a fool of himself, and he's basically harassed by some people in town, including Martin Landau, whose character who is really just a bully, basically. And things all seem to turn around when Mr. Denton finds a gun just lying on the ground. And it turns out that he used to be a very great gunslinger at one time years ago, but things have obviously all changed. So when it is found out that he finds a gun, Martin Landau's character basically kind of mocking Al Denton, basically challenges him like to a duel, like a mock duel, and Denton accidentally shoots him. So this really gets Landau's character very upset, and when they go in the bar, he says he's going to take care of him, basically once and for all. But what happens is, once again, Denton's gun goes off accidentally and shoots, I think, some kind of light from the ceiling down onto the floor, and it lands right next to Landau. Well, at this point, it turns out that the townspeople start to get behind Denton, and he starts to get his confidence back. Then we hear him tell a story about how he became the way he is to a woman in town. He basically tells her he used to be one of the greatest gunslingers there was, and people would come into the town to challenge him. Well, what happened was there was a young kid that challenged him, and he shot and killed a 16-year-old kid, and this is what really made him become the way he was. So now he's saying he almost kind of regrets being back to this, because now someone will shoot and kill him eventually. So it turns out that there is a hotshot kid from a nearby town who finds out about Denton and wants to challenge him to a duel. Well, Denton, knowing he's older and not sure how good the kid is kind of wishing for this not to happen, but when he's out at night, he meets a peddler. And this mysterious peddler has kind of been shown throughout town throughout the episode. And what happens is he basically, the peddler basically tells him that he shouldn't, be worried about what's going to happen. He has this potion that will last for 10 seconds that if he drinks it will make him the fastest shooter of a gun that there is. So reluctantly, he tries this potion out, and it makes him really fast. So now he's not as worried about the next day. So everything leads up to the big shootout in town. Basically what happens is this kid comes into town, and everybody in the saloon is waiting to see what's going to happen. And it turns out, before both of them shoot, that Denton finds out that the kid has the same exact potion. So they both drink the potion and kind of just look at each other. This next part, my interpretation was that more than 10 seconds went by, because it sure seemed like more than 10 seconds, and that both of them just took their normal shot. I'm not really sure if the potion still worked for both or if it didn't, but either way, they shoot each other in the hand. Neither one can ever shoot anymore, and it's determined to be a draw. And the thing really is, this absolves both of them from ever having to go down this path again. They're free to do other things in their lives. So that's really the lesson of this story, that there's always time to change things and make things better. So this episode actually ends in a fairly positive light, and it's a very solid episode that builds some suspense. The end has a good lesson to it, and it's pretty rewatchable, although I will say it's probably the most simplistic of the first 3 episodes. It's really just all pretty much set up to the final conclusion, but that doesn't make it a bad episode, and it's acted well and shot well, and Serling once again shows his versatility, being able to put Twilight Zone in a fantasy setting. I just always wonder what that potion really did or didn't do, and I guess that's kind of cool that we don't really know how much of an effect it had on the outcome one way or the other. At least that was my interpretation, and it's really just used as a means to an end. So I'm going to give this one another 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was overall a strong episode, if not an all-time great episode. So 3.5 out of 5 for Mr. Denton on Doomsday. Thanks for watching, and if you like this, you can leave comments or subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.